Hey garden friends, welcome back to Flower Patch. And today I was doing a little garden chore. Things are cooling off dramatically, and so I was bringing my geraniums, pelargoniums, whatever you want to call them, into the greenhouse. They brighten it up in here. And I was going to share with you how I overwinter many of them. There's several methods, and I will take you through the different ones I have used so that you can try one for yourself, or many of them if you have a lot of them like I do. So let's get going on preserving our geraniums over winter. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and or share with your friends. Everybody's welcome. If you're new here, my name is Pam and I garden in Zone 8A of the mountains of Northern California. And though you would think I have a long growing season, I don't. And I contend with many challenges that I have to overcome to grow a beautiful garden. So come on along on the ride. Okay, first of all, I want to start with the pelargoniums, zonal geraniums that you might have in the ground outside. So we're going to dig up one and then we'll get it ready for winter. So here is the one I'm going to dig up and take inside. Now this one kind of got obscured by the petunias, but it still is growing well, healthily. So I'm going to pull away any compost or mulch, and I'm going to just take my trowel and get as deep as I can, loosen the roots. The soil's pretty loose, so that's helpful. And I'm just going to dig it up gently. I know you probably can't see very well, but just trust me, I'm just gently digging. I felt a little snap, so some roots snapped off, but so there's still a nice little root system there. Hopefully you can see that. And what a beautiful bloom too. Now I'm going to decide how I want to overwinter this one, if I want to do it indoors or in the basement or what. So I will take us back into the greenhouse and then we'll decide how we're going to treat this one. But let's go dig up a couple more that are in containers. So here's one. I'm just going to set this one here, right here in this container. Now these just did not seem to do well this year, and I don't know why. Thought I watered them enough and got enough sun, and the year before they did beautifully in here, so who knows what happened. But I'm just going to get underneath the roots as best I can and pull up. Shake off as much as I can. Oh, I got a nice root mass. I wonder why it just didn't bloom well. It's had such a pretty root mass. Okay, and that one is a salmon color, which I just love. Peachy salmon color. And here's another one just like it that I put in here, trying to fill it up. Well, I know I have daffodils in here. I don't really want to dig those up, so I'm going to try to get this up without disturbing those things as best as possible. Okay, I probably snapped off a lot more of the roots on this one, but it'll still work. So let's take these in the greenhouse and go from there. So here we are with our 3 pelargoniums, geraniums. I'll just call them geraniums from now on. You know what I'm talking about. So I've got them in here. I don't need my gloves on for this. So this one is the one of them that was in the container. And I would cut off all of these little stems. You know what? We are going to prep this one to pot. Or was this one going in the basement? I don't remember. Okay, we're going to put this one in the basement. I'm going to show you how I prep it for that. I would cut off all of the little stems that are the former flower stalks. Just trimming them all off. Now anything, all this growth, all the leaves, etc., are going to fade away and drop off. So you could actually defoliate it, or you could just leave it like this and go ahead and pop it in your brown paper bag and put it right in the basement, and it'll be fine. Now, through the winter, what you do is you would check on them every now and then, and maybe I would say, oh, every 8 weeks, put it in your calendar or on some kind of timer or reminder, and spritz the roots with a spray bottle of water. That's it. Just spritz that area and let it go. You don't want to encourage fungus, so you don't get the brown paper bag wet. You don't want ever. Some people don't even do that. I have gone through the winter where I didn't do that, but I did lose a plant, or one that just was too dried out. So that is an option. Now these leaves up here look a little sad, so I'm just going to cut those right off and put that down in my compost bin. And so that one's ready to go in the basement. All well and good. So that could be set aside. Now this one we are going to pot up, or two there, pot up in smaller pots to put on the windowsill. Now I have some, I do like my terracotta pots because you can tell whether there's moisture in them or not. And I like them when they're sitting on the windowsill. They're just pretty to me. Prettier than other types of pots like the, I have used these type pots and then put them inside of another thing to overwinter. Something to make them prettier instead of just that pot. So I'm going to have these ones in my office on my windowsill, so I want a pretty pot. Now, I don't always use a piece of crockery on the bottom to prevent the hole clogging up. Sometimes I use these. These were little grow bags. You're supposed to be able to grow seedlings and stuff in them. They never worked for me. So I have used them. They're a mesh. And you can also use coffee filters that will drain, but prevent the soil and stuff from getting stuck in the center there. Now this is just regular potting soil. You could mix a bit of worm castings with it if you want, just to give it extra nutrition. But usually a good potting soil will have plenty. Now if you want to increase drainage for any reason, mix a bit of more extra perlite, or I like horticultural sand because it gives this some weight, and if they get top heavy, it prevents them from being topply. So this one, yeah, I'm going to pot it up. And you can see why it would be top heavy, because, you know, well, that's fading away because of it being pulled out of the ground. But that is why I like the heavier pots, and these are just prettier to my mind. I was looking for my trowel to shovel the dirt into my pots, but I don't see one. So I'm going to do something makeshift here. Forgive the noise. Makeshift. Use a scooper. Now this is pretty fresh potting soil, so I should not have fungus gnats in it or anything. Potting soil can come from the store with the fungus gnat larvae in it, but usually it's when it's wetter and colder that happens to me anyways. I mean, it could happen at any time. So yeah, put that down in there, make sure the roots are down in there, and let it get rolling. Now I'm going to keep this in this greenhouse for a little bit before taking it into the house, because even though I put it in a bright window, it will get more light in here than indoors, unless I gave it some extra supplemental light, and I haven't turned on my grow lights yet. So that's where this is going. And I will put it in one of these. Let me see if this one's big enough. Yeah, that one's big enough. So I'll set it over here where I can see it well. And one thing about over here is I have some terracotta pots with water in them, seeing how well they transpire or exude moisture, because I'm going to do some cuttings like I did the rose cuttings. So this extra humidity over here will only help this because it's got to recover from the shock. You know what? I forgot. I need to go get my organic Rev, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to take it back out of the pot, and I'm going to soak it. So I went and got the Rev, and I would say I have maybe half a gallon of water in here, and I need my little scooper, That is about, okay, this one's great. So about half an ounce in this, because I would use an ounce to a gallon. So I'm going to use about half an ounce in half a gallon. And I'm just stirring it in there. Now, I will let the plants soak for, oh, got some sun coming in here, for like half an hour. And dump out this one. Won't hurt it any more shock than it's already in. And I'll go ahead and let this soak half an hour. And then I will repot it, just like I did this time. It's already looking a little weepy with all the maneuvering and digging it up, etc. So it's already in shock, but this could only help it. So the ones that go into the basement in a pot, we are going to go ahead and cut this one back. I had done one and my microphone totally failed on me. I don't know why. But this one, I have a small one in here that it came up from a cutting. And I'm just going to leave it in there too. I'm just going to cut back the leaves on this. Now the leaves, when you stick them in the basement, all they do is mildew and get yucky. And we're forcing this into dormancy. So this one, even though it has a pretty little bloom, I hated to get rid of that, but all things for the craft, right? So I'm just going to cut it back. Cut it back, all these little stems. Toss in the compost heap because I don't need to start anymore from cuttings. And be good with it. Be good with it. So I got it cut all back. And then I will go ahead. The soil is already moist in here, so I don't need to water it. And I'm just going to put it on a shelf in my dark, cool basement that it does not freeze. I would say it stays in the 40s and 50s all through the winter, no matter how cold it gets outside. So that is what I'm going to do with this one and with the other one that I had done prior that I failed to record properly. So these are both going to go in the basement. And then come March, April, probably March, I will check on them. And then if they're starting to show growth, which they will, it'll be completely dark in there and they will still start growing. I don't know how they know that spring is approaching because it's completely black in there. But, I don't mean black devoid of light, but they will. They'll start growing and these new growth will be white because without the sun, it cannot do all that it does to breathe them green. So we will then pull them out of the basement if it's warm enough. Usually March, April, it can stay warm enough in here for the geraniums to get going and get the light they need. But if it wasn't warm enough in here, I would go ahead and put them on my light racks in my office where I have them, and or on a windowsill, a very bright windowsill in my studio where it gets really good light in there, and or the house. So that's how we'll treat these come March. I do have a video out, I do believe, and I will link it in the description box below of the ones I pulled out of the basement last spring. And that's what I'll do with these. If I hadn't have it. I think I do. I do have one. So that's the ones going in the basement. As soon as I'm done in here, I will put those out there. So now this one that I was going to pot up, this poor thing that has been through the mill out here, I'm going to go ahead and plant it the same way as I did before in the terracotta pot. Now I probably will cut this bloom off so it can focus on putting, probably I will, on putting down new roots. And here is the pot I could put it in. And I don't remember where my little scooper duper is. So put a little bit in there. I want this to be down deep enough in the pot that, that it's gonna be not top heavy. It's well weighted down. Not being terracotta, it's heavy enough to be heavier, I should say, that it won't fall down. And I can prune off and will prune off some of the leaves just to give it a little helpful boost. especially the ones that are yellowing a bit and or severely wilted, and that way it can focus on those roots. Now this is a bud, was turning into a bloom. So okay, I think that's good enough. I'm not going to overdo it. And then I will go ahead and water it. Give it a little water. Oh, I missed, no, that's the bud over there, the flower over there. So I'm going to go ahead and give it just a touch of water. And it should have soaked up enough Rev that it really gives it the boost it needs. Here comes the sun right in my face. And these will get the same treatment. These ones are going to be potted up as well. And when it comes time that I want to put them in my office on my windowsill, that's what I will do with those. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I think we went through all of them. We dug one up from outside and we potted it up after giving it a good soak in the organic Rev to help with the transplant shock, as well as to get that root stimulated so that it will fill out in the pot and continue growing. This one, I'm just going to leave in here in the pot. I will go through and clean it up. It's got some dead leaves on it. And I want to, this was I think the apple blossom one. It would be white and light pink and a darker pink, so it was all the shades. And I was thinking I wanted to save seeds from it. You know what? I need to stop doing that. I have plenty of seedlings. I don't need to do that, so I'm going to cut these off. This will continue to bloom and be pretty in here. So this one's kind of wonky out here. I'm just going to trim it back. It's already looking nicer, getting all these dead leaves off of it, etc. And just give it, there's a bunch of new leaves unfurling. And it's just going to be pretty. And I can put it in something that makes it prettier instead of this ugly black pot. What I mean by that is I just set it in another more decorative pot. And that will be well and good. And this one over here too, it's the same. I'm going to overwinter it in here as best I can and keep an eye on it. So come midwinter, if I'm having a problem with the snow mold, so that I can show you what it looks like and how I deal with it, I will do that. I will come back and share with you how I deal with that. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pot up the rest of these. So we put one in a paper bag. We put a geranium in a paper bag, put it in the basement to overwinter that way. No pot, no soil. I mean, there was a little bit of soil left on the roots, but nothing of big deal. Then we soaked some in the Rev and potted them up, and they will be in here in the greenhouse for a while. Then we'll put them in on the windowsill, put them under lights, whatever they need. These will stay here in the greenhouse overwinter, which is really just a glorified cold frame. And oh yes, we cut some back to go in the basement in the pots. So I think that's all the ways. All the ways to overwinter your geraniums. In the house windowsill. Yeah, that's all of them. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video and come on back for the next garden chore as I prep for winter. And maybe you'll glean some information you could use and or just enjoy following along. All right. Bye.